People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.
What? Oops, I'm on mute. Let's do this again. Good evening to all of you. Good night. Good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm Abs of October Red, and this is a live. This is a breaking news live. Guys, I don't know if you've seen it already. You probably have. Not sure if you have. Let me know in the comments that Conor Benn has left Matchroom and he's gone to Zuffa Boxing. What a shock. Listen, I've come on here like I've literally just ran onto the computer, ran onto the live. I cannot believe what I've read. I actually thought it was a joke. I thought, hold on, if somebody made a mock page, I actually come off Instagram, went onto Google, and it's like the same thing. I am very, very shocked. Let me just highlight you guys so I can put your comments on there so we can all get interactive with each other. So let me quickly, because this is an impromptu live, there's no preparation. I did not know what the hell was going on. So let me just quickly log onto Instagram and go onto Conor Benn's page. If you've just joined us, good evening. I'm Abs of October Red, and this is an impromptu live, and it is about Conor Benn leaving Matchroom, and I'm just looking on Instagram now, and going to Zuffa Boxing with Dana White. There's so many layers to this. It's not just the basic fact of him leaving Matchroom. I will get to the comments, but let me get to Conor Benn's statement first, which is just like wild. So let's have a look. Make sure I'm not blocked yet. Right, Conor Benn's put up on his Instagram, ladies and gentlemen. This is the statement from Conor Benn. First and foremost, I want to thank Eddie and the entire team. Can you guys hear me now? This is what happens when you do an impromptu live. Let's have a look. Thank you for the comments. The sound's gone. Ooh. Okay, yes, the caption is real. So what I will do is I'll go back onto Instagram and I'll reread the statement from Conor Benn. Apologies, but this is what happens when you're in shock. Everything just gets unplugged as I ran over to the computer. So this is the official statement from Conor Benn. First and foremost, I want to thank Eddie and the entire team at Matchroom for everything they've done for me over the past decade, from guiding me to when I first turned pro to headlining stadium shows. They were not only with me for those highlight moments, but stood shoulder to shoulder with me during the tough times. It's been a journey beyond anything we could have imagined, and for their belief, support, and guidance, I will always be truly grateful. But Zuffa Boxing has presented me with an opportunity I simply couldn't refuse. I'd love Eddie to continue to be part of my team and for our partnership to evolve in this new chapter. I'm filled with excitement and hunger for what's ahead with Zuffa Boxing. I want the legacy fights, the big nights, the biggest stages. I fear no man at any weight, and I'm ready to give the fans what they've been calling for. In my prime, and together we have bold, ambitious plans. I hope that wasn't on mute. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So good evening to you. If you've just joined, I'm Abs of October Red, and this is an impromptu live about Conor Benn leaving Matchroom to sign with Zuffa Boxing, but puts in a caveat. I really hope that Eddie Hearn can be part of this. Absolutely. Shall I be honest? It's diabolical. But let's get to the comments. First one in, Guinness, disgusting from Ben. Has to be a legal case here, surely. Fair point. Crobble said he's a snake. Dirty drug cheat that jumped ship like nothing. Now Eddie should reveal the truth about everything. Eden, I cannot believe the audacity of this bloke. Absolute snake. Done Eddie dirty. Meanie Sham, yep, thought the same. Crobble straight away, no loyalty. Guinness has said he needs to empty the dirt on him, as some of us would say, empty the clip. Fight fan, yes, it is real. Get over onto Instagram. I've just read out what he said, and apologies about the sound. Like I said, this is what happens when you're literally darting, because I'm in shock. I was just about to go to bed. I love going to bed early. It's Friday night. I just wanted to chill out, and then this happens. So Gaming Buddha, do you think Eddie knew or was blindsided, or equally did Dana White know, and hence why he doubled down on going at Matchroom? There's a lot to unpack there, and I think the best thing to do is to get an interview with Eddie, because you're not going to get one with Dana, are you? So Eddie Hearn will be quite open, frank, and honest about it, or Frank Smith. Like I said, I'm sure those guys that are in Nottingham, that are with them, they'll be getting the emergency kind of interviews in now. So all I will say is, like, look for the key channels, your IFLs, your stomping grounds, your boxing socials, and I'm sure they will have the update from Eddie. There's a lot of layers there, to be fair. Who knows? Thank you very much for the $1.99. I'll put that on the screen there. Abs, this is our modern society. Loyalty is a mess. And that's one of the things that Eddie has piped on about for years. He's always gone on about loyalty. And to be fair, it's really weird because he mentioned it to me when I spoke to him on Wednesday, you know, when they had that like launch presser in London to say, look, we've signed up with DAZN for another 5 years to 2031. We're looking at X amount of shows. I think it was 200 shows. And he kept on going on about loyalty. Watch it back. You'll see it. And I'm thinking, okay, so we knew this was coming. And obviously nothing was said. So, yeah, sorry, Beats. Yeah, I'm off mute now. Got it. Thank you, Jack. Niraj, thank you very much for that. This is crazy news. I thought he was close with Eddie. Listen. We watched practically on TV, yeah, when all of the stuff happened with the adverse testing for him and obviously Eubank to fight the first time around. I was there at the press conference, so everything was like cut there and then, fight off. Eddie stuck by Conor, took the most beatings live off, you know what we're like on Twitter, you know what the boxing fans are like, absolutely went there, and Eddie shielded it and took absolutely everything. So when you look at that and then you see what's happened, that is obviously going to raise more than one eyebrow, because why would you do that? He's mentioned there about big fights, big stages, but he has had big fights. He has been on big stages. He has headlined events. So what is this unbelievable, you know, changing offer that he's had? Because at the moment, as we know, Zuffa is in its infancy. You can interpret this any way you want. You could see it as like a personal attack. This is like the business rivalry that's going to be there, because Conor Benn and Anthony Joshua were always mentioned in the same sentence when it comes to Eddie and Frank from Matchroom. They always mentioned those two together. They talked about the loyalty of their fighters. So all of us because none of us knew. Maybe there might have been some media that knew that kept it quiet, but you can see from the comments on the Instagram post that this is like a major, major shock. So JR puts, what a disloyal rat. Guinness puts, in 1 minute, he's become the most hated British boxer. Traitor. Oh, I wish I knew what the other word meant. Yeah, rah is the only word you can actually, like, my eyes were on stalks. Conor has always been about the money, let's be honest. Nims, I get that, but he's always been, like, compensated well, hasn't he? You know that he's been paid. And what is really interesting is I spoke to Frank Smith on the Wednesday. Frank Smith was the first person I spoke to. And I said to Frank, are you okay? Like, obviously you signed with DAZN and, you know, that continues. But you've got the same person, meaning Turki Al-Sheikh, invested in practically the majority of the promoters. I says, aren't you worried that, you know, he came in and he learnt the tricks of the trade and now he's gone and set up with opposition? If you see my conversation, I think a couple of regulars have watched that conversation. I ask Frank Smith about that. Do you think it's a really good option to have somebody that's, you know, part and parcel of it? Because to me, it's a conflict of interest, but that is my opinion. I'm not frightened of getting banned from going to press conferences because I've got an opinion as well, because I have, because these things will happen. It's almost, yeah, it's messy. I thought it was a rumor as well. Drake K. Rowling, I like that. Yeah, terrible. Turncoat extraordinaire. I haven't heard that word for a long time. Absolutely shocked. Dara says, yeah, wow, actually can't believe it. Well done, someone smart enough to do a lot. Yeah, you know what? Because like I said, I do watch-alongs with you guys all the time. My subscribers, the people that tune in, all of us, we are a community. So I am going to come to you first. It's not like I'm just going to sit at home and babble to myself about it. You guys know what we like when we're doing the watch-alongs. It's conversation and commentary. Potentially there will be a watch-along tomorrow night, but this is hard-hitting, fresh news. And it's interesting because it was almost like they were spinning it like Johnny Fisher's had this life-changing offer to go and fight, you know, TKV on, obviously, another card. I think that's the MF Pro, sorry, and the Queensbury card. And Johnny's like, yeah, but, you know, I want to keep with you. And Eddie's like, are you ready for it? So people almost like dimming the light on what was really coming and thinking that Johnny Fisher was about to jump ship. I saw the conversation. I think I retweeted a shout out to pro boxing fans because I think they did something there where Eddie said, look, I don't think you're ready for that fight. Yes, it's life-changing money, but that might be the last payday you'll get if you lose, etc., etc. All the corners were over there. No one for 1 minute thought that anything was going to happen with Conor Benn, because why would it? He's been one of the loyal ones. We saw the loyalty seem to work both ways. And then this happens. Dara's just said, was Johnny Fisher the other one? I wonder. Maybe, but it doesn't look that way. 478 has said, no fighter should be loyal to a promoter, but Eddie was on the front line defending Conor Benn with the failed PEDs. And that is what, that's proven, it's evidenced, it's everywhere. No one cannot say that that wasn't the case, because he took the bullets for that one. So that's why the shock is with the media, with all of us as fans. It's like, wow, where is the loyalty? Where is it? So, yeah, Petty defended the guy after failing 2 PED tests, and then he left him. You know what? The people that don't like Eddie, or the people that don't like Conor, will find it hilarious. But having spoken to Eddie like several times, spoken to Frank Smith like several times, you kind of get a feel for what they're about. And this is nasty. this is worse than the Rolex watch from a Coley and then him dipping off to Boxer, and then it's wild, absolutely wild. Nicole's saying, is this why the Johnny Fisher fight didn't go ahead? Well, we don't know. That there may be a little bit of clouding on that, but it's massive news about Conor, because, like I says, Conor and Anthony Joshua were sort of like Eddie Hearn's like main stars, main guys that made the money. So Bill Murphy, good evening. Let's see if he keeps his WBC ranking as #1 without having a fight at the weight in years. And this is another controversy because obviously, there's not a war as such, but speaking to Maurizio Sullivan, who's put out statements about the value of the belt, and then he's gone for Zuffa. You've seen it, in the conversation that we had, basically trying to nullify the value of the belt. And then it just makes you think, is the fighter really about the legacy? Is the fighter really about the belts? Are they really about that? Or is it just about the money? Now, I don't know the purses of these fighters that are signing up with Zuffa, but everyone's quick to talk about the horror stories from UFC. Obviously, I don't watch that, so I don't have a real good insight into how that business works. A few subscribers do, and they've quite helpfully put their comments on where there's been lawsuits, etc., etc. However, Zuffa Boxing isn't UFC, and obviously they've got the financial backing of Turkey Al-Sheikh, so it's different kind of money. However, speaking to Carl Frampton, I think I've just put that conversation up. Carl Frampton, one of the closing conversations that we had, if you're a fighter and you're looking to sign with a promoter, what would you advise them to do? And he spoke about small print. He spoke about individual, separate, lawyers to have a look through the contract, so you make sure you know what you're signing. Otherwise, you're going to pay the price for it later on. It makes me feel uneasy. Like I said, I don't know anything about the business side of Zuffa. But what's got me is the whole, he's just left. He's just left, yeah, okay, yeah. And then, put a caveat in, but I wouldn't mind still having you on the team, Eddie, to, beat, bro. That's your... I always do this. I compare boxing to relationships, don't I? That is you cheated. You're cheating on your partner, and then you're saying to them that you're leaving them, but you still want to be friends. Are you mad? Are you mad? I was saying to Jamie Moore today, like I said, all of this can link into everything, because it's I said to Jamie Moore, I've said to him about the coaches when the fighters leave and come back. I said, the level of maturity that you've got, I will never have that level of maturity ever. But we shall see. Let me get back to these comments. Yep, Gaming Bud said, just heard the statement from Ben. Maybe let's pump the brakes. Eddie loves a pound note. Maybe you'll be part of the Benn team. And I've kind of just gone through that. I don't know. Maybe he will be. But I would say that Matchroom were delivering for him. I don't know. I don't know what else Zuffa can do for Conor. I'm not saying that they can't do more for him. But yeah, maybe we should pump the brakes. And it's good to have. That's why I set up this live, so we could get the different comments coming in. But you've got to understand, and I guess most of us do, that on the surface, it just looks like straight betrayal. I want to be silenced. I want this to be Eddie to say, oh, yeah, we're going to be working together, and, yeah, I'll always be there for Conor and this, that, and the other. And then, yeah, okay, fine. But from the stuff that's been going on now, and then you're piecing together, I think Eddie did an interview, I think it was with Charlie Parsons from the Stomping Ground. I think that went viral, where Eddie was insinuating that obviously Dana White's now owned and this, that, and the other, and who's your daddy, and all these kind of comments. So all of that stuff's coming out of it as well. So can we really pump the brakes? Maybe. But I need these differences in opinions, and that's why we're here tonight. So yes, Dara goes on to say, yes, Fisher said that he had a big offer Dana making moves for the UK. And why wouldn't he? Was it FYAR links? Fire links? Fire links? I wonder if Eddie will still call Conor a massive draw. Now, if he's not promoting him, no, he won't. And I think that will probably be his most bitter breakup. But if they do have some partnership, or they still do work together in some capacity, I mean, we've seen it with Josh Kelly and, you know, Callie Sowland. They're still there for him. Who knows? I cannot believe it. I bet you wouldn't have put your money on that one. Mike Thomas goes on to say, money talks. It does. It does. It really does. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just different. Maybe I'm just different, Mike. Kieran Phillips, what's up, chat? For real, he's left Eddie. Yep, he has indeed. He's signed with Zuffa, so that means his promotional company is no longer Matchroom. Somebody quite rightly so put in the comments that maybe Eddie will be there in some kind of advisory role. Who knows? But me, being the petty person I am, no thanks. But obviously Eddie Hearn is not me. And I agree. I don't think Hearn has ever taken an L like this before. I've said that. I said this is a massive, like, him both Conor Benn and Anthony Joshua were like his babies, weren't they? So I think, yes, this is massive. Hearn literally sacrificed his credibility for him. He did. He absolutely did. Nicole goes on to say, Ben's going to lose a lot of support from this. Same time, though, people will be tuning in to watch him lose. If he beats any big name, he's going to be one of the biggest stars. And this is it. He's taken a bet. He's definitely taken a bet on himself. He believes in himself, and he believes that Zuffa's the one that can push him through his career. Listen, nobody's not saying that they can't. It's the circumstances in which it's been done, after the support, after the loyalty. Listen, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but I'd be a fool if I said I could see anything that was glaringly obvious, that there was anything wrong with the partnership that they had. Mike Thomas says, Dana 1, Eddie 0. Truth Teller Maxwell, no loyalty. Chris Mannix said it was a one-fight deal. Alexander Wilson. Chris Mannix said it's a one-fight deal. So you're saying that he might be out on the borrows? Is that what you're saying? We'll soon find out. Didn't look like that to me. Lifelong. Bill Murphy said lifelong discount on eggs they offered. If he said, Ben, I think Ben is doing this to duck real competition. His next opponents will be C grade. I don't know. Who knows? I always say the proof is in the pudding. So Eden reposted this strip. Thank you very much, Eden. I do appreciate that. Who would he fight to earn 8 figures? And this is the thing. Truth teller, I don't know. Zuffa is very new in the business. I believe that they've been having some fighters on there, and the fights have been really competitive. They have signed the likes of Jaya Pataya and now obviously Conor Benn. Jaya Pataya, IBF, ring champion, cruiserweight. But we're not hearing about the IBF anymore. And obviously they've advertised the new Zuffa belt. The ring belt obviously belongs to them anyway. Conor Benn, no belts, but he's gone over there. Who knows? Who actually knows? You're not spamming with the comments. This is a live discussion. This is what we do. If you like, I beg your pardon, my manners. If you've just joined us, I'm Abs of October Red. This is just a live discussion with hopefully all of you that are commenting are subscribed, I may add, about Conor Benn leaving Matchroom and being signed by Zuffa. The news is breaking. So I wanted to have this conversation with all of you lot, a live debate about what is actually going on. So you're not spamming. It's just crazy. But to be fair to Ben, Matchroom hasn't really cracked the US market until recently with the AJ fight. So let's be balanced. And I get it. But look, I'm not in the USA. If there's anybody in the chat that is from the USA, please put your comments here so we can see about what you guys see from your point of view in the US. Because from my point of view, with the fights in Mexico, with the name that they've stamped over in America, I think they're doing particularly well. But I don't live over there. And I know boxing in America is not one of the key sports because there's so many other sports that are ahead of it. And I know that by speaking to some of our cousins across the pond. So if there's any US guys in the chat, please put your opinion in. Shah says it's a snake move. I'm all for looking out for yourself. Absolutely. But after what Matchroom went through with him, it's shocking. Niraj says Turkey has masterminded this, get others to build. Turkey definitely didn't like his Dana's daddy comments. Ah, okay. And it looks like he's been trying to teach him a lesson for a while. Interesting. David says Conor Benn is an absolute scumbag. Did you say that in the voice of? You know what? I don't know if you guys are on there, but I've just got a feeling. I've just got a little feeling that Chris Eubank Jr. is going to make a comment on this. I don't believe that Chris Eubank Jr. is going to sit there and not say anything about this. So when you mention scumbag, it's just like, yeah, Chris Eubank Jr. So, Mini Shams, the amount of stick Eddie took over the years for him, shocked he has signed with Zuffa. Big risk signing him as well. Yeah, I think it's a tough one. And Star Fox, good evening to you. If you want loyalty, get a dog. Eddie wasn't loyal to Sky. They're all hypocrites. However, the stuff that he's done for Conor, it's like, yeah, definitely next comment. Wow. So Arthur Daly says Conor is a snake. Shah goes on to say, can't believe it after Matchroom went through with him. Snake move makes you wonder. And AJ is built difference. Ade Oladipo. I like this one. Debo. One of my favorite characters. Conor got dirt on Eddie. So don't expect Eddie to say much. You think it really goes that deep? Do we really need to dive into people's personal lives over a business decision that they've made? Adari says, do you think Zuffa... I don't know. I don't know if Zuffa... I don't know. I haven't got a crystal ball. I do know that they've got the financial backing behind it. Who knows? Zuffa is new and it takes time. And I've said that with every conversation I've had about Zuffa. I said, look, it takes time. But I did say I think they're going to be aggressive with the signings, especially after I saw Jaya Pataya. And I thought, okay, it's targeted. Everyone's a scumbag, according to Star Fox. Conor is being played. Big bank takes little bank. Yeah, Lewis, literally my head's there as well. I love the thumbnail, by the way, Lewis. Conor will get beat off many welterweights. If you see, said Ben Shalom must be... oh, sorry. Ben Shalom must be hitting a stiff two-step celebrating. Listen, you know what? Yeah. I can imagine all of the promoters' phones are going off the hook. I think people are trying to get in contact with Ben Shalom, with Frank Warren, with Callie Sowland, with Eddie, with Frank Smith, all of them to say, oi, what's going on? It's a shame we haven't really got this access to speak to like Dana, because it'd be interesting to like hear him like just speak about what's going on. Let us know a little bit about his strategy. Is he specifically targeting specific, you know, promoters? It would be so good, but I know that's just not going to happen. There's questions in there. Nathan's put, why would Zuffa sign Johnny Fisher? He says Johnny Fisher. We're expecting Conor to put all of his eggs in one basket. Yes, I think he is. Ben is a scumbag. I'm hearing it's just a one-fight deal with free agency options afterwards. That's fine. But that farewell is a farewell. So what's he going to do? Like I said, is he on loan? Is he going over there and then he's going to come back? Because what I saw is him looking to take an opportunity and he wants to have Eddie still there in some kind of capacity because of everything that they've been through. Why would you risk doing that just for one fight? Not saying that it can't happen, but why would you do that? TMR podcast says, Red, this is nasty work for real. Nathan goes on to say, must be straight in a world title fight for Conor Benn. And we've got some people agreeing with Alexander Wilson. Very good point. Are we forgetting that Zuffa tried to sign Bam a few weeks ago? Aggressive, closing down the deals, sales tactics. Yeah, it's all going on. But the mastermind, the guy that's financing it all, has worked with every single promoter, has learned everything about the sport, knows about the fighters. Yep, Conor did bad with this one. Ben's gone and sold his soul. I wonder if they may go for Dalton Smith. It could be a bigger start in the US than here. I need to hear, if there's anyone listening from the USA, what is the impression of Matchroom Boxing in the USA compared to the other promoters? If there's announcement, if there's anybody in the comments that is an American boxing fan that lives in the USA, can you let us know what your thoughts are on Matchroom Boxing? What do you see when you see Matchroom Boxing in the US? This is a really important question because of what somebody actually put in the chat earlier. And that's why I need you guys to come in the chat, because you'll say things that I haven't thought of yet. We'll say things that we agree with or things that we might not agree with. Whatever it is, it's absolute insanity at the moment. Yep. Dara goes on to say Matchroom also got him the fights in the US when there was a grey area on the ban. So true. Why is my thing saying my battery's gonna die? This is what happens when you're rushing to get a live setup. Hopefully my microphone is still on. I'm not even going to say that. Do you guys think this was effective? It's a good question about the trainer, as he and Eddie are very close. This is what I'm saying. Deals, who would have been privy to information. To be fair, did Eddie know from the beginning? And this is just the public announcement now. I'm sure he would have had the courtesy to sit down and have that conversation with Eddie. It's just a blow to all of us lot because we didn't expect it to happen. Was it Yuli? X Games, crazy, because it's looking like Dana's going to take all of the Matchroom fighters. I reckon there will be some aggressive tactics. And let's have a look. Nathan says, Simon Jordan, right in saying that some of these promoters will simply become fighter agents. Well, yeah. David goes on to say, Conor scumbag, but karma is great. Eddie supported a drug cheat, allegedly. Got what he deserves, and we now know Conor's character. Isn't it funny? Do you remember, I don't know if you guys watched that interview with Terence Crawford, and he was saying basically that, one of the hosts was saying, can't you be bought? If somebody offered me all of that money, I'd take it. And Terence Crawford looked at him and went, well, now we know your character. So, yeah, that fits in perfectly there. Franklin says all about the money. Philip Answer, good evening to you. Yeah, I've seen this, Eden. Quite a few people have said it in the comments. It's a 1-fight, 8-figure deal. So life-changing money for Benn with a chance to hit free agency after his next fight. Okay, so my question is, why would he want to become a free agent? This is where you're going to see what a promoter actually does for a fighter. If he does become a free agent, and yeah, absolutely life-changing money, will he need to fight ever again? Probably not. But then you'll see afterwards, how does he promote himself? What fights can he get into? You talk about going to Zuffa. Does that then take him out the WBC rankings? All of this is coming from the conversations that you guys are having in here. Marvin goes on to say, wow, Conor did Hearn dirty. And if he goes on to say, yep, this is why Warren was wise not to be as reliant on Turkey. Star Fox goes on to say, Eddie is getting shalommed again. You know what? I'd really like to. It's a shame I can't just tap in and try and get like Frank Smith or someone on a live now. Maybe they're busy doing other interviews. Right. Franklin goes on to say, I would have thought Hearn would have had a contract in place for such a big name, so this doesn't happen. And this is the interesting thing. There's got to be, who knows when his contract was up. Like I said, he's left Eddie to move on. He's asked Eddie to still become a part of his career. Is he on loan? Will he go back? Was Eddie okay with it? All of these questions we haven't had the answers for, but this is just surface information. We've watched Conor Benn all the way through. We've saw what he's been through. We've saw Eddie protect him. And then all of a sudden, it's like, yep, thanks for the rematch with Chris Eubank Jr. I'm just off to Zuffa Boxing. So that's how it looks. So that's what we're judging it on, because those are the only facts that we've got. Should any more information come out, should anything become more clear, then this will potentially negate all of this conversation and just be like, oh, okay, all right, he's out on loan. Yep, okay, Eddie's cool with it, maybe. And we'll see what happens. So who knows? Who knows? This is just the beginning. But it is, like I said, it is breaking news. So he's looking for the easiest route to a belt. Bit of a snake move, though, and that's from Legal Eagles. Good evening to you. Meanie has said, no chance Eddie is going to join the team. It will look like he's working for Dana White. Never going to happen. Shah goes on to say, Eddie must be okay with it, as he was on fire all week, taking shots, so he must have known about the deal. And this is what I'm saying. When you piece everything together throughout the whole week, Shah, it looks like he knew what was coming. So those rebuttals were almost like preemptives for what's happening this evening. Signed to the op. Fight Fan says, signed to the op who just dissed Eddie. Mad thing. That's probably why Dana's saying it's like beating up babies. That's what it's just. The seasoning has been sprinkled all in front of our face all week, because this last week has been quite pivotal and we're just clocking it now. Yeah, absolutely, George. Holy S for sure. Conor Benn has signed a one-fight deal worth life-changing money, 8 figures, can be speculated, double both Eubank fights for one fight. That's been repeated several times. And like I said, we're going to have to wait and see what's in the pudding. Eddie, a video to views, it says Eddie is a businessman and could turn Conor into a superstar like AJ with no belts. But I guess he wants the money and quick wins. Nims goes on to say there's no way Eddie will work with Dana. I am literally just trying to play devil's advocate and just look at all the different angles, like I said, with the feedback from you guys on what potentially could happen, because we've got minimal facts. There's nobody that's sending me any DMs. I can't see in my WhatsApp because I've loaded everything up on my laptop so I can get any notifications, and nobody isn't saying anything. But what I will say is keep on refreshing your screen, even if you have to go out of here and come back, and let me know if there's been any update, because I'm sure everyone's going to be all over this like a rash. Eddie George is saying Eddie's going to cry himself to sleep. James Douglas Fisher's offer was by Spencer Brown. That's fair. And that was for the MF Pro and the Queensbury card, the dual promotion there. Arthur Daly, it says Conor offered 10 million signing on fee for a 10 million signing on. Where's that come from? And which one was that? You saying that's what, Eddie? No dollars. Elaborate on that, Arthur. If he says Hearn still working with Benn, it looks like he's working for Dana. His pride will not allow it. 8-figure one-fight deal confirmed via Chris Mannix. Dana tried to poach Fisher, a fool. Nah, I don't think that was. I don't think that was going to happen. Yeah, everyone's doing the repeated stuff about the one-fight deal. I couldn't believe it. It's from James, but Eddie put everything on the line to defend Conor. Eddie will be peed off. Mike Thomas says Eddie Conor owes him nothing. And this is what I want. I want the diverse comments. Conor owes him nothing. He's a prize fighter and should fight for the highest bidder. There's no sentiment in this game. Mike Thomas has got a point. It's not how I operate, but he's got a point. George Hearn said, nah, Eddie backed him for years after the cheating. This one will hurt so much. I'm shocked, and Conor's ruined his career and his family legacy now. Conor has no skills, and Shakur will finish him anyway. If Eddie done him wrong, Conor would be shouting about it. Yuli X Games says, but Dana don't want nothing to do with sanctioning belts. And after the Eubank 2 fight, all Conor was talking about was the WBC title. So what's going to happen with that? Nothing. Nothing. Really, nothing's going to happen with that. Because obviously the Zuffa have announced their new belt. And that is it. And that obviously that belt will be recognised. And the ring belt will be recognised. Lee Pidgley, I beg your pardon. Mickey Duff once said, if you want loyalty, get a dog. And oh my gosh, doesn't that saying just every now and again just give you a big slap in the face just to get you back into reality? Over the God said, most boxers shouldn't need to show loyalty to a promoter. Conor Benn is the exception. Crobble says, yep, one fight deal confirmed by multiple sources. Betrayal, big time. Weird decision. I think it's a weird decision. And yep, is it T4Y563? A bit snaky. Ice Chip says, is Conor Benn even British level? George Hearn goes on to say the WBC ain't backing this. Conor isn't going to be a WBC champ this year. And Lee goes on to say there's no way Eddie would work alongside Zuffa. Who can he fight? And this is from Bill Murphy. He answers a question in the chat. Who can he fight? Where's the fight that generates that kind of money? Timmy goes, he's moving mad, chasing money, burning bridges. You live and you learn. Wisdom comes with age. Crabwell goes on to say, I think he will fight on a super card. There's best fighters in May or June. Who knows? Owned by the same people who own the UFC, Kieran Phillips. Do you think it just, Kevin goes on to say, do you think it makes sense since Eddie is pushing Stevenson more? Look, I'm not a fighter. I speak to them and try and understand what they're like. When you're used to being the golden boy, when you're used to being the baby, can it get frustrating sometimes if you feel like somebody's coming in that's better than you? They're competitors, aren't they? So they're full on competition mode. Who knows? I mean, it's a good point, Kevin. I really don't know. These are questions, like I said, that Eddie, Frank Smith, Dana White, even Conor Benn need to answer. I think they signed someone for him to fight, and it has to be a champion for a belt. What belt? They recognize the ring belt and they recognize the Zuffa belt. Are they going to sign someone with another belt? Because as soon as Joe Pataya signed with them, I haven't heard the IBF being mentioned once. George, he's ruined the Benn legacy after the Peds, after losing to Eubank initially, and now with Zuffa. If he goes on to say, generally the fighter doesn't owe the promoter anything, but in this case, Hearn literally went in ham for Benn to the point Hearn was disliked because of how it was dealt with. And yeah, I concur with that. Only Chris Welsh goes up, same thing. After how much Hearn stuck up for him, this is crazy. Yep, just joined. What a surprising title, BH. Yep. Surprising conversation. For 8 figures, it has to be Duke McKenzie. You're insane. George Hearn, mate. Eddie's the only one putting on the American fights. Where's Golden Boy, Frank PBC, Showtime, etc.? Bruce, good evening. How are you, Bruce? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in 800 years. Absolute treachery from Conor, says Bruce. There's an Erino Erin Ozib, sorry if I've got it wrong. There's no chance Eddie's cool with this. Surely he's backed his boy to the hills and was borderline delusional at time. Let's talk about Turkey's role in all of this. I've done this. I'm like I said, if you go and watch my conversation with Frank Smith, I said, is it dangerous having the same person financing all of you, learning the business, and then going off to set up business with competition? I've said this. James said he went for money over loyalty. Ab says Zuffa won't protect him like Eddie has. Niraj, Shabbalam must be laughing after what Eddie did with Ben Whittaker. Yeah. And that is the thing about boxing. One day it's you, and the next day it's somebody else. And I can't prove it, but I'm going to put 50p down that Ben Shalom is watching this live. Hi, Ben. Because he pops up in my stories now and again. So he might actually be watching this live as he chuckles with his hot chocolate by his bed. Right, Crobbo says, friends in America have laughed at Zuffa, but I've also heard it will have repercussions on the UFC and their pay going forward. Interesting. Yes, Nathan, I've seen that one fight deal. Nathan, have you seen... Nathan, are you from New York City? Is that what your initials say? I need to know what you guys think of British boxing, namely matchroom boxing in the States. Everyone said it's a one-fight deal. Everyone's saying it's not that serious. You don't write a goodbye letter for a one-fight deal. I'm not saying that it isn't a one-fight deal, but it might be a one-fight deal. But then where are you going to go after that? BH says, I'm from the US. Conor might become a so-called heel character. All right, thank you very much for that. This is what I needed. Tell me about a heel character. Tell me about that. Kieran Phillips says, can he wait to hear the spin by the media? Oh, my gosh. You know what? It's times like this that I wish Umar, IFL Umar, went to Box Nation, was still in here, because he'd be straight on the phone to Frank. The sarcasm would be coming out. Then it would trigger everybody else. Umar, I don't think he's listening to this because he's sunning it up in Dubai doing whatever he's doing now. Salute to him. But yeah, it would be really interesting to hear the takes on this. Mr. Boxing Facts, good evening to you. I love all your pictures that you put up on Twitter. They do make me chuckle. It seems that way, Mr. Boxing Facts. Guys, what I'll do for those of you that have just joined that are asking the question, I'm going to quickly read the statement from Conor's Instagram once again. So this was put up a while ago now because we've been live for a while. So Conor Benn, official, his official Instagram account. First and foremost, I want to thank Eddie and the entire team at Matchroom for everything they've done for me over the past decade. From guiding me when I first turned pro to headlining stadium shows, they were not only with me for those highlight moments, but stood shoulder to shoulder with me during the tough times. It's been a journey beyond anything that we could have imagined. And for their belief, support, and guidance, I will always be truly grateful. But Zuffa Boxing presented me with an opportunity I simply couldn't refuse. I'd love Eddie to continue to be part of my team and for our partnership to evolve into this new chapter. I'm filled with excitement and hunger for what's ahead with Zuffa Boxing. I want the legacy fights, the big nights, the biggest stages. I fear no man at any weight, and I'm ready to give the fans what they've been calling for. I'm in my prime, and together we have bold, ambitious plans. Now, that's the statement. So you can take that as your one fight. Could he go back to Matchroom? That's fine with you. That sounds like a Dear John letter to me. UFC was the guinea pig. This is TWR, apologies, presents. The UFC was the guinea pig. Zuffa Boxing is a real threat. Conor will be forced to be active. Ooh, I like that. It's almost threatening, isn't it? That's going to heat up the Hearn v. White even more now. And boxing. But the thing is, Eddie's got tough skin. I'm not saying that Dana hasn't, but Eddie's got tough skin. So it will be interesting to see what the fallout from it is. So if he goes on to say, lol, Eubank Jr. will probably sign if they'd offer him the right money. Yeah, to be fair. Can you imagine them both under the same promotional company? God. I don't know what that answer was for. Philip was saying, what would he have to say? This is me when I'm behind on comments. Brilliant. Kip, 58. From US perspective, Eddie should have kept his relationship with Haney intact. The Haney v. Crocker fight could have led to big unifications in the States for Matchroom. Eddie chose otherwise. Thank you very much for that. And these are the comments that I like to hear from our cousins across the pond. It's important to get your point of view because we see things so differently. So thank you very much for that. And like I said, any other US guys, I need you right now. I need you. That guy said, I mean, get the bag, but fight who? Who can he fight right now? Yeah, the Shalom comment's hilarious. He's going to get beat by Jalil Hackett, and that's from Nabil. Shalom 2.0 will be loving it. Yeah, you know what it is. Listen, if anyone pretends, yeah, that they're not happy when they see a op fail, they're lying. Let's just keep it 100. If you see someone you don't like that's personally done something wrong to you, are you telling me you're going to be like, in business, personal, oh yeah, you know what, all the best to them? Yeah. No. I'm going to be laughing. So yeah, Ben Shalom will be laughing. Fight Fan TV Network, Conor Benn will be the next Zuffa champion, I guess. Interesting. Mike Wars, yes, this is not fake news. It's not fake news. I double and triple checked this. I reposted it on my Instagram, and then I ran onto StreamYard, barefooted, with dry lips, a greasy face, and tired eyes, just to speak to you guys. So yes, this is true. I wouldn't have done this otherwise. How long until Eddie calls Conor a drug cheat? It'd be interesting to see if the narratives change. I do think Eddie's going to be professional. You guys are saying that it's been confirmed by Chris Mannix that it's a one-fight deal. Will the door be left open? It doesn't look that way because it looks as if Conor's saying, look, we've split up, but I still want you to be part of my team because I value everything that you've done for me. There's that sort of, what do they call it, olive branch? There's that, that leaf that you're saying, I'm sorry I've done you wrong, but can we still be friends? So that to me sounds final. Like I said, I could be tripping, could be being paranoid. Somebody said, push the brakes. But like I said, we're dealing with what we've got. We're dealing with what we've been told so far. Conor does have to pay a hairstylist to mash up his hair every week. Not surprised he's chasing big money. I didn't mind his hair, but I did think, why has he changed his hair back to blonde again? Anyway, Leap saying it won't be a one-fight contract. And I'm with you, Lee. I don't think it necessarily will be, but proof's in the pudding. And Conquest Peace, I like that move. I like that. You like it. You like the move for both parties. Interesting. I'm not going to pronounce the Cordelian. Proper violation from Conor. Good evening to you. David Cosmos says Duffer doesn't have a drug testing policy. Guys in the comments, please feel free to put what you like. I haven't checked the ins and outs, David, of Zuffa. I haven't really invested that much in it at this time, so I can't comment on that. Nirajis goes on to say, this is the power of the egos and pockets. Zuffa have the leadership from TKO and deep pockets. I do agree with that. I gave my opinion. I think it's not. I don't think it's good that he's done that. I operate on loyalty. When somebody's really stood with me through tough times, nobody's never thrown 8 figures in front of my face. Nobody's ever thrown 6 figures in front of my face. So I'm not in his shoes. But what I'm saying, from the stone throwing and the caning that Eddie took on his behalf, it doesn't look good. I'd be an absolute liar if I was just like, yeah, this is boxing. Yep, time to move on. Every fighter, and it's been mentioned several times in this comment, every fighter has the right to do what they want. Of course they have. Every one of them has. But when you look at the backstory of what's happened with Conor, nobody can't sit on here and say, oh, it's fine. You can't. And at the end of the day, Turkey did choose Dana, not Eddie, and that's exactly what I said to Frank Smith in his conversation I had with him. So Abs goes on to say Zuffa won't protect Conor like Eddie has. Conor is the prey in this situation. They'll let him mouth off, give him a few knockovers, and then get him flattened in a step up. And Conquest says, I see a wannabe. Where? Lee goes on to say Matchroom Boxing shut their offices down a year ago. Shut their offices down. They have barbecues there every year. Is Rolly on his way to Zuffa then? That guy says, I don't know. Zuffa to do UK shows. I think that's inevitable. We've just seen Most Valuable Promotions. They're doing their first UK show. I think Zuffa will be doing UK shows. Why wouldn't they? Boxing's global. Why just keep it in one place? Potentially, the only thing that Dana might do is he might do it at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever he does when he does the UFC. He brings it over to the UK, but he still does it on US time. Okay. BH says, I'm in the US and Matchroom is just fine with me. JD goes on to say, Ben is an ungrateful git. Shizzle, my nizzle. Was the announcement done today on purpose? Tomorrow's show now and interviews will be over, shadowed by this announcement? Yeah, potentially. It's strategic. Of course they did. They all worked together. Interesting. Maybe. Eddie and Matchroom dropped the ball thinking they had the pickings on US fighters. Now that PBC is gone and Top Rank is gone, but now Zuffa has come in and pulled the rug. You got to be careful who you invite around your house for a cup of tea. No wonder Hearn constantly talks about Zuffa Boxing in interviews because he knows that they're a threat. And that is from Mike Wars. TWR presents something Eddie fails to make mega fights likened to a used car salesman. Is this the US point of view? I need to know these differences. Yep, they did this with Haney. Madman Boxing, brilliant content as always. Thank you very much. Conor Benn doing a WWE there over to Zuffa Boxing and signing Ben Zuffa's way, trying to break into the UK market. Yeah, it's strategic move, 100%. Niraj says, I'm printing Who's Your Daddy t-shirt. Frank Warren, few steps ahead. That's why he gets Fury on Netflix. Interesting. Well, apparently, according to several people in the chat, they've put that it's actually confirmed. Well, Chris Mannix has confirmed it. 8 figures, 1 fight deal. But like I said, compare that to the Dear John letter that Conor Benn has written to Matchroom. Just make your own mind up. Meany says, free agency is so risky. He was living off the Ben Eubank fights. When he was fighting in the US, there was like less than 1,000 people at the arenas. Is Shakur going over? Who knows? Everything is up in the air at the moment. Like I said, you just got to be careful who you invite in your house for a cup of tea. Miles said he does have a contract, Eddie, so Zuffa must have had a huge payout. Fair enough. Like I said, I don't think anything's been done. I'll say this. Anything's been necessarily done in an underhand way, but it's still a shocker. Bradley goes on to say, am I right in thinking Conor has the same management as Richardson Hitchens? Oh, yeah, because wasn't he with Sims' son to start off with? And then he left to get an American manager? Bradley, you might have a point there. If there's anyone in the chat that can confirm that, I think you're onto something there, Bradley. I can't remember who it is, but somebody has mentioned that before because I didn't know that he changed management because he was with Tony Sims' son. Absolutely wild life lessons. He had a 3-fight contract. And this opens up a discussion. Let's see what Eddie and the team are willing to release. I'm sure they'll say something soon enough. I'm sure Coogan is battering down Eddie Hearn's hotel room with a ramrod, telling him to get on IFL now. Oh gosh, I wish I had Eddie's number. I would have just like said to him, "Oh, come on to the just come on the live now," because you know Eddie would do it. He doesn't care. He'd actually just get on with it. Let's have a look. What does Conor benefit from this? I don't know, Miles. I don't see who Zuffa gives him. Early days, and you have to remember, Miles, they're coming in with aggressive buying tactics. This is a very strategic company that is owned by somebody that has had their eye and has been very heavily linked into the UK boxing, the UK fighters for a couple of years now. I'm saying it's early days. Conor Benn is going to be the first of many that are going to be signed, and probably not going to be the only shock. I reckon a lot of the top names in the UK have already been contacted and potentially have been offered these, life-changing, generational changing paydays. Yeah, Miles said they definitely paid Eddie millions to get him out. When was the last time Conor Benn had a fight on a Matchroom show? The last two have been Ring magazines. Yep, there is that. Co-promoted with, obviously, I think that one was Boxer and Matchroom. But yeah, you do have a point. Cordelian says that Adana just got Eddie pregnant. Oh, the comments just wild. If Ryan wins tomorrow, it's apparent he will fight him for a world title. Interesting. And it's funny you mentioned Ryan, because there's something going on about him after this fight becoming a free agent also. Let's keep our eyes peeled, guys. Bon Scott, gosh, I haven't seen you for 785 years. How are you, Red? Long time since I've seen a live. I'm going to be doing another one tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a watch along. Azza says, absolute madness. It is indeed. Miles says, Eddie will 100% work with Dana. Will Dana want to work with him? Money talks. One fight deal is such a legacy move. And that's what I'm saying. Listen, Mike, I cannot believe it either. Eddie would work with the devil if there was a pound note involved. Well, he has often said that he loves a pound note. Is it Dobianuli? Sorry about the pronunciation. Money talks. Eddie probably advised him to take the deal. And this is what I'm saying. These are the things that we need to come out, and it will put a lot of clarification in process. We are speculating, and we're speculating with what we know. We've got the Dear John goodbye letter. We've got Chris Mannix saying it's a 1-fight, 8-figure deal. That's all we know so far. All right, Derek Chisora just called Conor Benn a scumbag on Instagram. Is this the same Derek that's gone from Matchroom to Queensbury and then said he was a free agent, and then Queensbury went, no, you're not? Derek Chisora, bless him. Lazarus has said, in my humble opinion, I think Keith Connolly has been one of the worst nightmares for Matchroom. Follow the footprints. Belanga, Hitchinson, and now Benn. Is that the manager you're talking about? Yeah, Mike Uppity said, Freemasonry is rife in boxing. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying not to get my channel banned. No, it's not October, it's abs. But thank you. October's the month I'm born in. It's my brand, it's my channel. And Conquest goes, not to mention, they just tried to do this with Ortiz. Yeah, and Rodriguez as well. 10 million apparently for one fight. That comes in from James. Whoever said Conor owes him nothing is a house. There's no loyalty or integrity left in this world. I think that jumped out the window ages ago. I remember, and this Lee said, I remember when Uncle Frank got shot and Nigel Benn went to Eddie's daddy. One fight worth 8 figures. Wow. Benny's prey now. This is from Abs. He will play the heel and get humbled. Rumors about a Sky deal. We might see Conor on Sky next. We do know for a fact that Sky is now involved in boxing. MF Pro, when I spoke to Cali Sowland, he said that Sky were aggressive with their offers. We do know that MVP have gone to them, like I've just said. So Sky has its door open for boxing. Nothing would surprise me. Nothing would surprise me because they've got Paramount in the US, which we'll get on an app anyway. But I wouldn't be surprised, and that's a really good spot there, James, that there could be a Sky deal. Sports with Blake, shocking. Absolutely shocking. Benn versus Mount, who knows? Well, he said he'd fight anyone. So I get there's no loyalty in boxing, but you'd think after all the arguing Eddie did for Conor's case, it probably does leave a sour taste in the mouth of Matchroom. I totally agree. Star Fox, you were going to do this. You were always going to do this. Conor skipped out on Eddie like Madonna did to Riyadh Paul, posting photos of their new things on Insta. I like that. The health and fitness. Yep. Turkey got his foot in the door with the zone. Doesn't help. Absolutely wow. Absolutely what to do. Franklin, it's a one-fight deal. It might be a joint Ring Magazine's offer to boost Zuffa's profile. We're not even sure. And this is what I'm saying, Franklin. We're only going off what we know. That's all we're doing tonight. We're going off what we know. Tomorrow, potentially, will be something else. Tomorrow, if I don't go to Nottingham, because there is a lot going on right now, if I don't go to Nottingham, I will be doing a live watch-along for the Matchroom card anyway. So whatever comes out, whatever the fallout is, guys, if you're seeing anything on Twitter, please let me know, because I'm just going to go through the last bits of the chat and then I'm going to sign off, because I could be here all night talking to you guys and I do need to get some sleep. Sometimes chasing short-term money doesn't pay off in the long run. Look at Okoli and Boazzi after leaving Matchroom. Yeah. 68 DG. Benn is after the cash. Benn has overachieved with his limited talent. Zuffa wasting their money. Benn is mandatory for the Barrios belt. Dana brought a pop. Glenn saying, why do people feel sorry for Eddie? He obviously didn't offer enough money. 93 Octane says, boxing is very unforgiving. At the end of the day, it's all about self-preservation. Get the bag. MJ goes on to say, Conor is such a silver spoon-fed brat. It's just business. Eddie Hearn told him to take the silly money and he'll be back with Matchroom soon. Like I said, there's endless. This story can end in several ways, but we are talking about what we've seen this evening. Nobody knows what's going to happen. There is going to be some fallout from this. In fact, while you guys are there, let me just have a quick look and see if there's anything on X. Oh, I hate how long it takes to. Right, everything boxing's put Conor Benn is one of the biggest stars in the sport and a mega signing for Zuffa Boxing. First real sign in terms of fighter signings that they will be a big threat in the sport. Monumental loss for Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing. That's from Everything Boxing. Derek Chisora says he's gone and done, I don't know, something on Instagram. He's got a scumbag t-shirt on and said boxing is full of scumbags. Rob Tebbett, shout out to him. He said Eddie needs to sign Conor McGregor. Jake Donovan says, I'm sure many others will find a way to downplay this, but this is a game-changing signing and not just for Zuffa. See? One fight deal, good luck going back to regular boxing after this move. So this is obviously in relation to the tweet that Chris Mannix has put out. Conor Benn's deal with Zuffa Boxing is a one-fight, 8-figure deal. Sources told. So this is like third-party info. Life-changing money for Benn with a chance to hit free agency after his next fight. Yeah, that's not necessarily, I would say, confirmed. It's third-party info. So, yeah. I think Benn earns nothing. He does, however, owe his dad and Chris Eubank Sr. for their legacy, allowing him to make money off the Benn Eubank names. It wouldn't have mattered who the promoter was. It's a balanced comment, isn't it? 68DG says Benn can finally win a belt, the Zuffa belt. Benn is rubbish. He's not rubbish. He's not rubbish. Can't say he's rubbish. I wonder if he's going to stay with Tony Sims. Thinking out loud. Glenn says, in my opinion, the Matchroom roster is a bit underwhelming at the moment. Well, you're looking at stars. It's basically like all of the fighters, all of the promoters are on a rebuild. They're on a rebuild. Looking at Ben's new vid, he looks drained. Yeah, big up Yardman Shalom if you're there. Watch. Yeah, I reckon he is. Maybe Hearn will finally admit that Benn is I don't think he will. Exactly as Tommy Fury did off his brother's name, now a millionaire because he fought Jake Paul. Toby Ringel Bartlett, good evening, Abs. Oh my God, I cannot believe Conor Benn has done this. After all, for what Eddie did for Conor during the PED case. Yeah, I do miss Umar. I do miss Umar because he was very, very good at stirring stuff up. I don't think there was anyone like him because he was very good at it. And he, like I said, he will be missed because he did do a lot of stirring. Mainly Matchroom and Queensbury, but it was still fun to listen to. Look at how Eddie Hearn did Matthias. He doesn't deserve any loyalty. Subrel. The Brotherhood Sports. Good evening to you. I'm looking at these usernames. Yeah, but we like that about Umar. That was one of Umar's characteristics. And in times like this, sometimes it's good to sit back and watch. 93 Octane said it would be negligent on Conor to turn down 8 figures, leveraged his win for a windfall of cash. You can't hate on that. Oh, are you tuning in from South Central Los Angeles? Sleepy Swan, thank you very much. Good evening to you. I need to know what your opinion is of Matchroom Boxing in the US. So a very warm welcome to all of you. A warm welcome to those of you, our cousins across the pond. We are all here for the same reason. We love boxing. And we've had a major announcement, which is Conor Benn has said goodbye to Matchroom via a Dear John letter on Instagram as signed with Zuffa Boxing. There's some third-party reporting, 8-figure deal, 8-figure payout, signing on fee, not signing on fee deal, and one fight deal. Let's see. Who knows? But yes, good evening to South Central from Birmingham, UK. Bulldog Beauty. Yes. If you read his statement, it isn't worded as a one. That's what I'm saying, Alfonso. That's exactly what I'm saying. And you have to remember that 8-figure one fight, that's coming from a third-party source. I'm not writing you a goodbye letter if I'm out on loan. When Anthony Joshua fought Jake Paul out on loan from Netflix, that's what it was. He went over there for one fight. They allowed him. Obviously, they must have got a cut of the change as well. And then he's a Matchroom fighter. This is goodbye. This is thanks and goodbye. And I want you to be still part of my team because of everything you've done for me. All of that for one fight. All right. You know what? Each their own. Each to their own. There are so many comments in here this evening, but I've been going on for quite a while. I can't see anything that is come out in relation to this. I'm trying to look on Twitter just to see if anything's been updated. Obviously, you've got the usual, the banter, you know, people laughing at Eddie, etc., whatever. There's all that's going to happen anyway. But I can't actually see any updates. What I will be doing when I say good night to you guys, because you're absolutely amazing, I will be scouring YouTube. I will be sending DMs and saying, hi, do you want to come on and let's talk about this? I would have loved to have got either Frank Smith or Eddie Hearn on a live because it would have been brilliant. And you guys could have asked you questions. You know what my interactives are like. Frank Smith usually does them. Eddie's done one with me, but I take it that they are a bit busy at the moment. So, yeah, I think what I'm going to do is close it off there. But I'm going to say thank you to each and every one of you that jumped on, hopped on, short notice. I will be back tomorrow, more than likely, if I'm not at the fight, to do a live watch along for tomorrow's show. I'm sure a lot more will come out over the next few hours into the early hours of next morning, etc., etc. Tomorrow morning. But yeah, boxing is ever changing. Lessons learned. There's been a lot of lessons learned, and boxing really does teach you so many lessons. One week it's this person, the next week it's that person. Very, very interesting indeed. I don't think Chisora would come on, to be honest. I don't think he will. I think he's doing his own thing on Instagram, having a go at everything. But guys, I'm going to sign off. Like I said, thank you to all of you that joined in. Massive thank you to everyone in the chat as well. Really interactive. Super chats, let me just shout those out. AJ said, thank you very much as well for your £2. Yeah, thanks for that, Abs. Yeah, thanks for that. Appreciated. So thank you very much for the super chats. Can't do without you guys. Honestly, you guys are the ones that make the channel. And why is the thing at the bottom saying watch along? See, rushing. The lesson is read, and we're gonna. Bon Scott has given us the final message. The lesson is read. Don't put your eggs all in one basket. And as we say at October Red, stay ready. See you tomorrow, guys.
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.